Hello po and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. And our topic today is very interesting drug. It's called ivermectin. Okay, so we'll talk about this and paano siya nire-recommenda o hindi nire-recommenda for COVID. What is this drug? Ano ba pinag-uusapan ng mga tao? Okay. So, my name, let's start. I'm Dr. Ana York Bondo. I am a pulmonary and critical care specialist. I am a graduate of the University of the Philippines College of Medicine. I am trained and licensed in the United States. I have a diplomate po from the American Board of Internal Medicine. My specialty, I mentioned it earlier, lungs and ICU. I am a three-term congressman. I am the wife of Mayor J and the mom of an 8-year-old. Nandito po ako ngayon sa San Juan, San Luis, Pampanga, and hoping to share with you some of my knowledge. So you're welcome po to join us. Very controversial po yung ating topic po today. And please follow us. We have a YouTube channel. Nagbi-build up pa lang po kami bago pa po kami sa YouTube. Please help us. The title of the channel is Dr. Ana York Bondo. And ilagay nyo lang po yung mga tanong nyo about ivermectin, about COVID, or just about your health. And promise, babasahin po natin. So today, our title is called Ivermectin, 5 Important Facts. Okay? So, paano ba natin napili ito? Well, this morning, there was an advisory regarding ivermectin by the Food and Drug Authority of the Philippines, various medical societies, at nakalagay po doon that they do not recommend ivermectin for COVID treatment, prophylaxis. What is prophylaxis? Yung to prevent you from getting COVID because it is not yet licensed by the FDA and is not yet recommended worldwide. So, because there's been a lot of news about ivermectin, pag-usapan po natin itong drug na ito. Okay, first, how do you pronounce? First fact, ivermectin. Hindi po ivermectin, okay? Ivermectin. And ito po, when was it discovered? This is an old drug. It was discovered po in 1975 in Japan. And ang nag-develop po ng drug na ito is the drug company called Merck, M-E-R-C-K. And this was discovered by a Japanese po called Mr. Satoshi and Mr. William Campbell po. Satoshi Omura po is the Japanese scientist. And the Merck scientist was William Campbell. And this was actually used po for prescribed na po para sa mga tao as a medicine in 1981. So it's been around for a really long time. Okay? And this is actually considered a veterinary wonder drug. So pag-uusapan po natin why. Okay? So how was it discovered? It was discovered in soil and then tinest po nila. They found out it was very effective against parasitic infections or what we call po helminths, H-E-L-M-I-N-T-H. So helminthic infections, parasitic infections. So ito po yung mga bulate that affect persons and also animals, okay? And because of this blockbuster discovery po, it's actually considered a blockbuster veterinary drug, and I will walk you through. It's also very useful for persons. Si Mr. Omura po and Mr. Campbell were awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2015. So paano po nagagamit si ivermectin for humans? Okay, what's the main sakit? I will type it po so that they can flash it on the board po, no? It is used for what we call po, the common name is river blindness. I'm just typing it. Okay. So, paki-flash lang po. Okay. First main sakit po is called river blindness or onchocerciasis. Okay. I'm gonna type it again. Medyo mahirap po talaga yung words na to. Mga scientific po ito eh. Onchocerciasis. Okay. Okay. So what is river blindness? River blindness po, and this was taught to us in med school. I have never actually seen it. Ito po is the second largest cause of blindness po in the world. It is a disease po found in Africa. Thank God, sa Africa lang po. And it's caused po by what we call po microfilaria or small, very, very small worms po that enter the body. It is, ano ho, it's called, it lives part of the life in the black fly and then kakagatin po yung tao. And then they burrow under the skin po. And then somehow, in the life cycle po of the worm or the microfilaria, ito po yung talagang masama, it goes po to our eyes. Okay? And doon po siya nanganganak, doon po siya nabubuhay in your eyes, and eventually po causing severe cataracts, harming the cornea, and ultimately blindness. Okay? And meron din po, because they burrow under your skin, napakakati po nitong mga onchocerciasis, ano po, worms, ano po, and they are very itchy, and nagkakaroon po ng mga bumps under the skin at doon po sila nanganganak at nabubuhay. Okay? This is a very common disease po in Africa. And prior po to the appearance po of ivermectin, dati po, they used to fly in a plane and bumubuga po sila ng pesticides and insecticides to kill the black fly. But of course, this was also quite dangerous. So when this was discovered po, actually, this is a very good thing that a pharmaceutical company did po. Merck actually donated thousands and thousands because these are very poor very poor countries. So together with yung mga global ano po, public health advocates, they donated po thousands and thousands of ivermectin tablets. I'm sorry, natatanggal lang po. They donated thousands and thousands of ivermectin tablets to Africa. And they were able po to really reduce po the amount of blindness that was going on. So it's a very good thing po at marami po talagang natulungan. Prior to this, there was no drug for river blindness. This drug is very safe, so much so na hindi na ho nangailangan ng doktor. People could just give it once or twice a month. And gumagaling po talaga yung mga tao. Okay? So yun po yun. It's also used for filariasis. That's another disease po ng mga parasites. And then sa mga bata po, they use it for head lice. Yung kinakati po, ano? Kasi mites po yun. Kinakati po yung ulo ng mga bata. They give that. And it is also used for scabies. Okay? Scabies, ito po yung, it's also a parasitic infection. Kakagatin po kayo. And it will cause po talagang extreme itching all over the body. And it's really a terribly painful disease po. No? So, dito po ginagamit ang ating pong ivermectin. Ngayon po, as I mentioned, it's a veterinary drug. And how did I find out about ivermectin? 2 weeks ago po, yung aso po namin, nawawalan po ng balahibo. So, I brought Spike and Oliver to the vet. I didn't know about ivermectin and COVID po on that time, okay? In-examine po yung dogs namin and I was given po ivermectin. It was supposed to be injected po subcutaneously into the dogs. Sinabi po sa akin that they were suffering po from demodectic mange. So, ayun po, that's a mite. Skin disease po ng mga dogs, okay? And binigyan po ako. So I started actually have a video injecting the dogs, okay? So nagkakwentuhan lang po ako with my classmate who is also a dog lover and a doctor. And she also mentioned to me na heartworm. It is po used once a month prophylactically for heartworm. So sa mga aso po, it's used very commonly to protect them from mites, yung skin disease po, at yung heartworm, which we all know is very dangerous po to dogs and nakakamatay po sa mga aso. Okay? So, it is very widely used po in veterinary practice. Okay? Third fact, paano ho ba siya nagamit for COVID? Ako man ho nagulat because I was injecting po my dogs with ivermectin 2 weeks ago. And suddenly, someone told me, my best friend actually, and Barkada told me, Ana, I was told na may balita na about COVID. So, researching the issue, ito po yung nalaman ko, no? There have been reports po that ivermectin can affect the SARS-CoV pero in vitro. What's the meaning po of in vitro? In the lab. Bubuhusan po nila yung mga SARS-CoV nila with some amounts po of different drugs and titingnan po nila if there is some effect. They do that po prior to injecting that into patients. Kasi we want to see how it is working for in a lab. Usually po in a Petri dish before we inject it into a person. So ang nalaman po nila is that yes, in vitro, theoretically, okay, the ivermectin was slowing down po the SARS-CoV. Pero hindi pa po malinaw yun. So over the last year, there have been a number po of clinical trials where they're giving the tablets to persons with mild, moderate, and severe COVID. And unfortunately, none of the trials have really shown much difference as of today. Okay? So yung mga trials po, hindi pa po talaga, wala pa po talaga malinaw if it is making a difference or it is not. So right now po, the status po of ivermectin is it's under investigation. So fact number 4, so fact number 1, it was discovered in Japan. It's used for humans for parasitic infection. Number 3, it's a blockbuster veterinary drug. Number 4, there have been in vitro in the lab na mukhang okay, pero in vivo, which is in a patient setting, in the hospital setting, there have been a number of trials which have not shown any definitive effect. Okay, so wala pang definitive effect. In Peru, it was used pero hindi na rin po ginagamit sa Peru, sa Brazil hindi na rin po ginagamit. Okay? Due to the rising interest in the Philippines and people were selling po the ivermectin, importing them from abroad without passing the proper government regulations. At ang dami-dami pong sinasabi, unfortunately, some of them by doctors which are no longer scientific po, para lang makatinda ng ivermectin. The FDA and various medical societies came out with a statement this morning, I'm going to put it on the internet, that ivermectin is not yet approved by the Philippine Drug Authority, the FDA, our Philippine Drug Authority. It is not recommended by various medical societies, and let us wait for further investigation and announcement by the clinical trials that are ongoing before we prescribe it to persons. And also, they wanted to say that if you're going to use the ivermectin po of your dog, or you're trying to drink Heartgard, or ako ho, merong subcutaneous ivermectin dito, masama po yun. Okay, that was meant for dogs. It's not meant for humans. Meron hong mga dinagdag doon na para sa aso lang, and it can really harm you. If people are trying to sell ivermectin, of course, lahat tayo kailangan kumita, no? But this is not the proper way. Hindi po natin alam kung totoo po yung tablet na yun, kung ivermectin po ba siya talaga. And we have not determined the proper dosing po for this drug, if ever, for COVID. So again, the FDA is warning everyone, this is not proven. Number 2, this is not approved in the Philippines. Number 3, kung meron mo sinabi sa inyo na in-import po raw nila, hindi rin po yun allowed. That's breaking the law. Number 4, you can be arrested if you try to sell that. And number 5, maghintay na lang po tayo for the proper announcement by the government because baka po makasama pa po sa atin. So yun po yung kwento ng ivermectin. Those are the 5 facts. Used for a long time, discovered in Japan. Used po for parasitic infections, Rver blindness, Filariasis, scabies, and head lice. Used in dogs, not yet approved and not yet proven for humans. And number 5, the FDA just came out with advisory na wag po nating gagamitin until proven. So yan lang po. That's it about ivermectin. Marami hong umiikot ngayon selling this. Please don't buy it. It's not safe for what they are trying to tell you. And hintayin lang po natin ng gobyerno. Okay? So salamat po. Best way to protect yourself, mask, face shield, social distancing, alcohol. Yun lang po.
From Miss Maybis Ahemco. Hi, Doc. Good afternoon po.
Hi, good afternoon po.
From Mr. Edwin Buwita. Good PM, Doctora.
Hi, Sir Edwin. How are you?
From Mr. Serge Tips. An emoji of hugs and kisses, Doctora.
Wow, ang cute. Ang dami naman. Ang ganda. Sipag ni Sir to send it. So ito po, no, I just wanted to just go over. There's a statement on the use of ivermectin as a treatment for COVID-19. Hindi po siya talaga, ano. And I will be I think I posted it already. Hindi pa po siya talaga approved. And I would suggest to everyone to just wait for your own safety po. Maghintay, wag pong gagamit pag hindi pa po aprobado ng ating gobyerno. Okay? Ang tanong ko sa'yo, Reyna, bakit yung aprobado ng gobyerno, yung bakuna ayaw nila? Bakit yung hindi, doon sila nagpapakamatay?
Ibabakuna naman daw po sa dogs.
Doon, okay. Ivermectin is approved for dogs. Approved po for river blindness. Wala po river blindness sa Pilipinas, so please don't. Filariasis, rare po talaga sa Pilipinas, though there is. Head lice, kinukuto ho ba yung mga anak nyo? Let's talk about it. Scabies, yun po yung skin disease, very itchy. Darating, it burrows into the skin. Talaga talaga, you will itch from top to bottom. So those are the approved uses of ivermectin in humans. Please, don't do this to yourself. Maghintay po tayo. Okay?
From Mr. Maynardo Burin Lansangan, is that a drug for lung disease? Veterinary drug for animals? Can it be used for human? So,
sinabi ko
sa
na po, for na po, no? For approved sa humans, it's for parasitic diseases po, no? River blindness, filariasis, head lice, scabies. For dogs to heartworm and mites. So yun po, do not use the dog, kasi the HeartGuard tablet, I don't know if you are familiar, marami pong asong umiinom ng HeartGuard tablets. Please do not do this, okay? Do not do this. It is not safe. Wag.
From our viewer, Miss Belma Subiron Talaga, thank you for the awareness of the drug ivermectin. How we love our Shih Tzu dog Spot. The name is Spot po.
Nako, I'm sure, yung mga may aso, alam ito eh. Kasi ako ho, binigyan ng vet last 2 weeks ago. Habang binabakunahan ko yung mga aso, iniisip ko, parang narinig ko na to sa internet. And then, hindi ko naman ho pinansin. Kasi nga, wala namang bisa eh. Then, bigla na lang ho ako nagulat 2 days ago, parang pumuputok na ho sa internet that there are doctors importing this illegally, selling it without licensing. Tapos kailangan pa daw pumirma na kung may mangyari sa'yo, di mo sisisihin yung doktor. Ganon. What is the reason that this is exploding? I think it's because really people are just desperate to make more money. And unfortunately, other people naman po are willing to believe anything. So yun po yun. But again, I caution everyone kasi hindi po natin alam kung anong nasa loob ng gamot na yun. How do we really know what it is? Okay? And then number 2, this was discovered by Merck. Kung meron hong magpro-produce nito, di sana si Merck na ho, kasi nandun eh. But even Merck po is hindi po sila, they're not pursuing it. So hintayin po na, but there are clinical trials ongoing. What I would suggest is hintayin po natin yung proper channels before we rush into something po na hindi po natin alam.
From Mr. Efren Kiambao, magandang hapon po, Doktora.
Sir Efren, good afternoon po.
From Miss Belma Subiron Talaga, thank you, Doc.
Hi, Ma'am Belma. Good afternoon po.
That's all that we have po for today,
Doctor. So, yun po yun. Ikaw, Reyna, why do you think that people are, the more, alam mo, the more you ban stuff, the more people like stuff eh. The fastest way talaga is to license something. Pag hindi na siya controversial, ayaw na nila. I hope that we take better care. Wag po tayong iinom ng kung ano-ano lang po na naririnig po natin from other persons. Let's wait for the government to approve the drugs. Let's wait po for the clinical trials to happen because this is for our safety rin po. Okay? So, sa inyo po lahat, the surge is real. Before you take unapproved drugs po, what I would suggest po is really mask, face shield, social distancing. Huwag pong didikit po sa mga crowded places. Huwag pong kakain. nakatabi po yung hindi nyo po kasama sa bahay. Because studies have shown that when people are eating, dun po talaga nagkakaroon ng hawaan po. Okay, question. Why are people suddenly reaching for kung ano-ano? What's the reason for this? Matagal ko kung pinag-isipan yan. That's a good question, no? I think this is a time po na we are all searching for answers. And it can be very scary po when doctors tell you sometimes that things are not yet proven or wala pa po talagang buong sagot, ganon. For a lay person, mahirap pong tanggapin yun because we are used to science knowing everything, doctors knowing everything. And it can be a scary time po na people will tell you that there's a lot of things that they don't know. So during this time po na marami pong alanganin, unfortunately, people who are selling stuff are going to step into this and tell you, eto na yung solusyon, eto na yung sagot, bumili ka sa akin, gagaling ka. And because if you ask medical science, they'll really tell you we're still studying, ganun po. Parang napapanik na po kayo, ang dami nagkakasakit. So kung kaya lang naman, might as well try. But that attitude po is really not helpful because most of the people, you tell them, those who are spouting ivermectin, nagtitinda ba kayo? Of course, titindahan ka. Sana if they're like me, not selling anything, okay lang. Kaya lang after the talk, biglang, please order your tablets from me and PM is the key. Biglang, hello. Hindi na po, alam mo yon, meron na siyang commercial angle. And then the question is, saan po nila nakuha to? Did they get it from a licensed pharmacy? Talaga bang, ito ba yung ivermectin? I mean, it's so easy to make fake drugs nowadays. And then the next question is, something happens to you, go to the ER, what are you gonna tell them? Anong ininom mo? An unlicensed drug? So, mahirap po talaga. My best suggestion is for everyone to wait for the government, to wait po for the proper, licensing. Kasi po when the FDA licensed a drug in the Philippines, pinag-aaralan po talaga yung mga studies. We have called the vaccine expert panel. There are expert panels po sa FDA. We do not only rely on foreigners, we rely on Filipino scientists and Filipino knowledge. Sinusuri po natin mismo para malaman po natin if it is safe for the Filipino nation. So please, I mean, I hate to tell you this na a lot of it is based po talaga on the need to sell something. So yun lang po. Stay safe, guys. Please don't take anything that is not approved by the Food and Drug Administration of the Philippines. Okay? So wala na, Ms. Rains. Okay na? We've covered everyone?
Yes po, we've covered everyone naman po.
Okay. Salamat po.